I'm John Owens, creative director of a design agency called Instruct Studio, and I'm also a co-curator of the design organization Design Manchester. I think the first piece of design I was aware of, or I think I ever saw, I think growing up, I was obsessed, I guess, same as I am now, with packaging, lots of packaging. And I think, having been into robots and things like that and transformers and stuff, I was, obsessed with detail. I was obsessed with Lego instructions, hence the word instruct. But I think formally, my formal entrance to probably being aware with real design was I was always good at drawing. I was crap at everything else. I was one of them things where, didn't know whether you could make a career in what this thing was, drawing. So you go to college and you study art. Everyone studies art as a general thing. And I had a really, really good photography tutor, Amy. And it was classic photography. It was in a dark room, so it was great. I got to use real film. And I remember there was a record shop in Bury called Vibes. Absolutely, absolutely pivotal in my upbringing with design, because I used to go there when I was around 13, 14, because I had a job across the road at dry cleaners. And I'd go in there and obviously rifle through vinyl, and they'd find it quite amusing that I knew what some of this stuff was because I'd read Music Magazine and Mix Mag. I know I'd studied photography and I was taking photographs, of said records, so I was obsessed with music. And my photography tutor said, "You need to see this book." And it was Adrian Shaughnessy written this book, and inside it was Swifty, Malcolm Garrett, Neville Brody, Designs Republic, early sort of intro work. So this would have been probably 1996, I think, 97. And I sort of started looking in there and I realised, I said, I own that record and I've got that. And a lot of it was, Designs Republic or Underworld, and it was Tomato. And I'd sort of gravitated to sometimes these sleeves because of dance culture and dance music and reading these magazines. But it was my photography tutor then that joined the dots together. And she said, "This, you know what this is?" I was like, "Yeah, no, I know." I didn't know who Designs Republic were, but I knew who what records were, and I knew what LFO was and stuff like that. So I put kind of one and one together. She actually said to me, "You should drop out of photography and maybe take up graphic design." And I said, "What's graphic design?" And she said, "Well, it's that. And I was like, "What, making sleeves for, yeah, it can be records, book design, whatnot." So I was like, "I can do that for a living. Great." So I did. I swapped course, and obviously I still stuck on doing photography, obviously being integral in design. And I sort of then became really aware of going into Manchester, going to Vinyl Exchange, picking records out, and knowing that certain designers had worked with certain labels. So a great example, Mark Farrow, Deconstruction Records. But then understanding, all the posters are on the wall, the Hacienda posters were by Mark Farrow, and AVO and people like that. And I started to join the dots. That 96, that year Train Spotting came out, intro sequence was by Tomato. All these things, it was a melting pot. I think 96, it was an amazing year for culture within the United Kingdom, especially going into 97 because of, Labour, Cool Britannia and all that lot. So I just kind of hit that sweet spot, I think, of being aware that then all these things on the wall, all these posters were done by a design studio, and things by Bjork were by, by a studio. And I go then to seek these things out. And I think it's important to understand as well with design that back then is obviously the internet was in its early stages. You didn't really go online at all. You wouldn't really go and search. Well, what would you search for? So it was like you would go into a library to go and find a book. You go into the record shop to go and find things. And really there was a trust level to that of going, well, if I really like this record and it's designed by such person, maybe I might like this other one. And through that, and still to this day, I still discover loads of new music through design, which is and that classic thing where you bought a record sleeve purely off the basis of his design. I don't care what it sounds like; it's just a beautiful piece of 12-inch artwork. So yeah, I think for me that was the first proper time that my eyes were open to what design is and why I aesthetically I like those things. And yeah, and that's why it's been an inspiration ever since, within that link between music and graphic design. So what we're working on at the moment is, like every agency, we've got a lot of projects ongoing. We tend to work with a lot of cultural organisations, which are, sadly a lot of them are closed just temporarily at the moment. What this time has sort of come, what's happening with this time is that obviously there are a lot of opportunities in the digital realm, and it's forced us really to very quickly pivot and rethink how work is shown online, who owns that work, how do we portray that work, and with our work with Design Manchester as well, how do we showcase this work online? How do we communicate better? And a big thing happened at the start of lockdown was we'd been working with an amazing creative curator, Kay Dunnings, who is creative director of Shangri-La at Glastonbury, and she'd been part of Design Manchester before, and we've become good friends. Unbelievably talented, and we had an opportunity where she'd been approached by a VR company in America, Sansar, to rebuild the Shangri-La world in virtual reality. Hell of a task to do, an amazing. If you've ever been at Glastonbury and Shangri-La, you'll know how hedonistic and crazy the place is. So she was building a team to help her realize this vision online, and this VR company were, happy to invest their time and do this as a proof of concept as well as a commercial offer. So very quickly we found ourselves in the realm of virtual reality, of building and helping and assisting this world, and down to then curating artwork within the world, and working again with Malcolm Garrett and then with Kay to realize a exhibition within that space. Been working with artists, Jeremy Deller and Anthony Burrow and people like that. But it gave us an opportunity to, especially to address, things that were really important, and really important at the moment, Black Lives Matter and, climate change, because all of a sudden we're in this digital world where, we had endless wall space. We had as much as we wanted. We didn't need to think of the constraints of a traditional exhibition. We could change artwork, every minute if we wanted to within that space. So we did the first Lost Horizon, which Lost Horizon is the name for this, which is a huge online virtual reality music event. We filmed famous DJs, Carl Cox, Sasha, on a green screen, and then we imposed them into this world that we had built. That's it in a nutshell, because it's a lot more complicated than that. But it was a big success. Happened in July. We had 4.6 million streams. We had 10,000 people in the virtual reality world as avatars. So where we're at currently now, and what we've been working on, is now this is the next big phase of Lost Horizon, where we're now, me and my wife Fiona, who works on this with us, personally invested in this now, that we're about to launch a new series of events, culminating with a huge event on New Year's Eve. And it will mean now that we will open this platform up for other artists, other musicians to use this platform. We've got the business model set up for this. And it enables us to, because of all the hard work of building this, is to constantly be creative in the space, change artwork, model new things within there. And this is the crazy thing, is that anything is possible within this world. If we want to stack 100 containers on top of each other, we can do. We can do whatever we want. And it's been liberating being able to work within this without any constraints. And we've got some great backers that we can work now with, streaming channel Twitch and other people to realize this past into new year. What the interesting bit for us is, obviously all this is fascinating in been a big learning curve. But the interesting bit then is, how do you merge the real world with the virtual world? And I don't think anyone had ever cracked that. And we're going to now be in a position next year, hopefully, Glastonbury will take place again in late late June. If that happens, we will then look at how we merge this virtual reality world with the actual real events that's happening, and that's something that's not happened before. That in this sort of scale, on this scale, because it opens us up then for the sort of the event to be enjoyed by everyone from all over the world. Japan, Korea, who didn't even know what Glastonbury is or Shangri-La is. So we're on a steep learning curve. It's been really interesting to understand how artwork, the intellectual property of things within the virtual world is just obviously the same as the real world. So we're massively at work at the moment, knee deep in creating all of the visual side, the marketing, working with a huge team who put this out across the world to sell tickets. So for us, that's been something completely new, but using all of our skills of the real world of what we normally would do. But yeah, creating virtual fly posters instead of real fly posters, and not having to go and post them up on the wall is quite nice. So yeah, it's hard to get your head around some of this stuff, but it's still traditional design skills that we've learned and that we use and apply, but yeah, in the virtual world. So that's the sort of stuff we're up to at the moment. So my advice to students is, I've been really fortunate in my career to teach as well. And I think it is a bit of an honor being able to teach and be able to pass on your knowledge, from a real world of working, as a designer for agencies in-house and then running your own agency. What I see in with graduates and current students at the moment, there's an incredible pressure to be the complete article, and I really do feel for students, because you're just bombarded constantly online, Instagram, to be this thing, whatever this thing is. You constantly, and we get it as professionals, is that obviously you look at your peers and that kind of strives you to be better. But I think with students, what they need to really learn is that you're not supposed to be the finished article. You're not supposed to be that thing. When we interview staff, you're looking for that spark. You're looking for that something. That you've got to be quite malleable, but at the same time, you've got to have something about you. The basic skills need to be there. Typesetting, layout, and things like that. That comes as a given, but you're not supposed to have all the ideas. You're not supposed to have that yet, and you're supposed to formulate that. And you can only do that through time and traveling and seeing gigs and stuff like that, and just having life experiences, and encouraged to go and see exhibitions and all those other things, and cram your head with culture and different things. You can't do that from the get-go, and you're not supposed to. You're 20s, you're supposed to mess things up. You're supposed to get things wrong. You're supposed to learn. And I feel sorry that, you see job applications that say, they want jack of all trades. They want everything. They want an animator. They want HTML. They want this. They want that. And I think that's unfair. It's great to be multidisciplinary, but I do think there is an inert pressure, and really it should be that just to take a step back a little bit and think, what am I passionate about? What am I interested in? These are the things that should shine through, not I can spin 10 plates. You just burn out straight away anyway. No one wants to take on a graduate and then, overload them with so much that they can't function. So I think the pressure is good for you in some ways, but in other ways, I think my advice would be, don't believe that you have to be everything to everyone, because you really don't need to be like that at all. You can have conviction in the stuff you do, but it's all about just seeing that you could be a diamond in the rough, that, there's a lot of graduates out there, and there's a lot of competition, I know that, but just having that interest and passion about design because for me, the greatest thing for me is to pass on that knowledge. If I had someone sat in our studio that knows everything, that's we're not gonna get on. We're not gonna do well. We're not gonna produce great work, and we're not gonna contribute and collaborate together if you think you know everything. And I have, unfortunately met a lot of students like that probably because they've been pressured into thinking that's how they have to be, and it's that's not how you have to be at all. You just got to have, yeah, just that passion and that want to be there, and the rest will come. It'll all come in time. It took me years to develop what I thought I was good at, and a constant paranoia that you're not doing as good, and imposter syndrome and all that sort of stuff that everyone talks about. But then, the realization that, as you're heading into your 30s going, oh, I'm still got a job. I'm not too bad at this. So, it's not just students. For a lot of people, we're all struggling and all, on the same wavelength with a lot of stuff with work. I think you just got to have that conviction that you're really passionate and you love what you do, and that'll shine through at the end of the day.